Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jim, PowerShellEngineer.com. I don't actually think that website is up as of the recording of this video, but I just want to go ahead and make a video using Amazon Web Services, specifically LightSail, to make a Windows 2019 server, specifically a domain controller. So if you're in the AWS Management Console, this also presumes that you've already got your AWS account set up. Just go ahead and search for LightSail, and we come to the LightSail homepage. And the first thing you want to do, if you don't already have a LightSail instance, is go ahead and create one. So we'll go ahead and create one. We're going to note that you can choose your region using the AWS Global Infrastructure regions. I'm going to go ahead and pick Windows, and Server 2019 is okay. I'm just going to create another free month, and these are actually, in my opinion, really reasonable prices, especially if you were looking at a disaster recovery scenario where you wanted to add an additional domain controller, then add a route to it and use it as a backup. But for now, we're just going to create one, and this is kind of more geared towards people who want to create a Windows domain controller for a lab environment. So give me 1 second. All right, looks like Adeline's here now.
Hello.
Hello. Because we're doing virtual school, and she's home, and she's been doing her homework. But she heard me in here doing a video and wanted to see what was going on.
No, I thought you were doing a call at first.
A call?
Yeah, like a very important call.
Oh, no, it's Friday. I have Fridays off.
Oh.
So we're going to go ahead and create that. Wait till it's created. Honestly, this takes not a lot of time. But we'll go ahead and pause the video. I would bet this will just be a couple minutes until the password is generated and this is created. Alright, so we're back, and that was about 6 minutes. The actual EC2 instance was spun up probably within 5 minutes. No, not even that. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes, the EC2 instance. But now we've got the RDP credentials. I'm going to go ahead and show this on the screen because I'm going to delete this instance afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and show the default password. InfoSec violation. Copy that. Username is administrator. And we're going to, I'm old school, so I get to RDP this way. And we're going to RDP to the public IP of this LightSail EC2 instance. Login as administrator, /. You really don't want to do that if you're on a domain joined computer, which my home computer is not. Set the certificate. Make this small enough to where it's in my window now. If you could believe it, the 512 megs of RAM for this Windows server is not a lot, but it's on the free tier, and I'm just doing this for a demo video. So this thing is a little laggy when you're setting this up. But, alright, here we go. So when you're setting up a domain controller, you just need to go to Server Manager. That's the very first thing you'd want to do. And you see what I mean about this being laggy. I'm clicking don't show. I'm not going to use the server again. Alright. uh, uh, wait for it to finish loading, and then you're going to want to add roles and features. Again, here's the disadvantage with 512 megs of RAM. I'm going to go ahead and pause it while that's loading. Alright, we should be good now. There we go. So next, this server, and the one you want to get is Active Directory Domain Services. Next. And we go ahead and install. So this will take another second. We'll do a quick pause. And again, this does not take long, even with the 512 megs of RAM. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, though, just so we don't eat up too much of the video time. Alright, so it looks like we're all set now. We'll go ahead and close. As soon as we close, there should be, oh, that's right, over here, the exclamation point on the notifications, because we need to promote this server to a domain controller, which we'll go ahead and do. So this is where you're actually setting up your domain. And I think this takes another second to load, so I'll go ahead and pause. It might not be that long. Ah, nope, loaded that quickly. Alright, so we're going to create a new forest. So what I'm doing is, if you're setting up a new lab, obviously you're going to be creating everything from scratch. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'll just create a fake, what I'm going to do is create a fake school district called Pawpaw Lake Schools. We'll do ad.pawpawlakeschools.org and go ahead and do next. And we'll use the same password that I use, which is probably not a good practice, but again, I'm going to delete this instance when I'm done anyway. So also, make sure these are the same, or at least the domain level is at the functional level or higher if you're going to roll this back. And it should auto-generate the NetBIOS domain name. It's just going to pick that up off your forest name. Ha! 80. Well, let's go ahead and add that in there. I always just use defaults for these. I believe that's a standard practice. And if we look here, this is just telling you what it's going to do. Technically, this is generating a PowerShell script to do this, and this is actually pretty interesting. You take a look. These are all just PowerShell commands on top of a .NET GUI, right? So that's just something to think about. That you literally could be doing all of this in PowerShell. And if this is something that you are going to be doing over and over again, you might want to use something like CloudFormation or another automation tool to just run these commands over and over again. Or if you're a managed service provider and you're bringing people onto AD for some reason, if somebody's not on AD already, or if they're converting over to it, depending on what they're using for identity management. This is kind of the meat of where that's happening, but I always think that's interesting. So go ahead and do next. And when this is done, it's going to reboot. which will mean we'll have to re-RDP into this, and then my NetBIOS name is too long, so let's. All right, let's do these checks again. All right, now we're good. BIOS. That's always irritating. All right, so it's going to go ahead and install this role. I know I've done some pauses, but just so you guys know, since I started this, I'm probably 15 minutes into it. The pauses really weren't too long. No, actually probably about 20 minutes. So, again, this stuff does not take that long. Especially just doing the point and click, and even, assuming you already had your AWS account set up, it's not that long at all. But we'll go ahead and pause it because the reboot is coming once this is done. So we'll pause it, and after I'm rebooted and re-signed it back into the server, we'll take a look around and see what's going on. All right. Yeah, my video is still going. All right, so we're back. Oh, jeez.
I have some slime.
Hey. So let's go ahead. Should have not only is the domain controller set up, it went ahead and set up the DNS server. And obviously there's a lot more to set up on the back end, but I just want to show you guys that this is set up if this will load. Again, this is a very slow EC2 instance, but by being on the free tier, I essentially won't have to pay for its usage unless I have it beyond a month. So we're going to search Active Directory. And when it loads, there it goes. We gotta see that this is here for our domain that we set up. Okay, so Adeline, the camera is actually right up there. So, yeah.
Oh,
You're a goofball.
Are you doing the code school stuff?
No, it's like how to set up a Windows server in Amazon Web Services. So AD, you see it here, ad.papallakeschools.org.
That's here in the middle of my name.
We see users, and boom, now we see our users. And now from here, you could go ahead and set up your organizational units. And if you were setting up a school, you would want probably a staff.
My slime is on the wall.
Set up your staff, and then you would set up probably your students. And if you were going to set up students, you probably have a couple different schools. So elementary school, middle school, high school, and then from here you can set up users, etc., etc. So that's up and running. I just want to show you too, it did create the DNS server. And again, super laggy. You know, it's interesting too because you really don't need a whole lot of resources for setting up a domain controller, but 512 megs of RAM is quite low. Right, so here you got, you know, your different zones that you can go ahead and start doing, you know, creating more servers. And honestly, you could build this whole thing out in AWS LightSail. It really wouldn't be that much money. So that's it, you guys. That's how you set up a domain controller in AWS LightSail. It's really simple. This in particular, I'm probably going to redo this whole process because I'm working on a PowerShell class right now that I'm building. And this is kind of a good way to do a lab. But I figured I would just go ahead and make this because I knew I could do it in a relatively not long amount of time. So like the video if you like it, and go ahead and subscribe. I'm PowerShell Engineer Jim.